Welcome, everyone, to the Entrepreneurial Lunch and Learn hosted by the Field Center for Entrepreneurship at Baruch College. The Center for Entrepreneurship is a multifaceted division offering a variety of services and programs for current and aspiring entrepreneurs. Today's session is a one-on-one with Small Business Services Commissioner Doris. For those of you who don't know, Commissioner Doris was appointed by New York City Mayor de Blasio back in May 2020, so it's been a full year now. Along with being the commissioner for the Department of Small Business Services, the SBS, he's also the co-chair of the Small Business Subcommittee for the Task Force on Racial Inclusion and Equity. Commissioner Doris has served in a variety of roles in his career, which he has overseen and led impactful initiatives in entrepreneurship, especially in the expansion of opportunities for minority and women-owned businesses. Today, we have the opportunity to speak with the commissioner and have a conversation on the state of entrepreneurship in New York City and how you as small business owners can move forward with your own businesses. Commissioner Doris, thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks. Can you share a bit more about you and about the small business services?
Yeah, sure. First, hello, everybody. And certainly it's good to be here and chatting with you all about the work that we love so much and that we do here at SBS. So, a little bit about me. I always start with the fact that, I come from, some entrepreneurs in my family who were sort of entrepreneurs by necessity, in the sense of trying to provide immigrant family trying to provide for my family, where my mom sort of did several things to provide for us while also being a social worker. And we're, her and my dad together trying to make sure that we have ends meet and a place to live and, go to college and buy our home, et cetera, all from and through entrepreneurship. And so this is near and dear to me. I then, of course, became an entrepreneur myself. And is building off of that legacy. And I had the opportunity to work with, some really, really powerful organizations, both corporate and government. And most recently, before this position, worked as the first senior advisor and director of the Mayor's Office of Minority and Women-Owned Businesses here in the city, where we sort of oversee all 70 city agencies and the billions of dollars in which the city spends every year, making sure that small minority and women-owned businesses are participating. And we're excited that, before I left, we sort of reached most of the goals the mayor had. Some were going to be reached this year. And then, of course, the pandemic hit and I transitioned over to SBS, where I'm the commissioner here, working to advance our work here as an agency, both with neighborhoods, with workers, and with small businesses. Yeah, that's just a little bit about me. About the agency. Look, if you are someone who has a family member looking for a job, our agency also oversees all of the Workforce One programs in the city and all the Workforce One centers, all 18 across the city. We supervise that and been working remotely since the pandemic ensued. Already helped over 80,000 New Yorkers either connect to jobs, get training, do some career coaching, et cetera, during this time that was so necessary. If you have a friend wanting to start a business, SBS is here to help and assist you as well. We provide white glove services for folks to start and grow their businesses. A community nonprofit, needing help and assistance, we certainly connect you to our business improvement districts and other resources at business solution centers to help you with those particular needs that you may have. And certainly, as mentioned, since really at the start of the pandemic, SBS has been on the front lines, really fighting for the survival of our small businesses across the city. We've been doing that through advocacy for our small businesses on the federal level, state level as well, and at city level. Some laws that needed to change. If you're talking about things related to fines and fees, or speaking about eviction moratoriums and the like. That is so important that we needed to do work even locally to make sure third-party apps and capping fees and those kinds of things to make the environment conducive for growth. And then Finally, we also offer in-demand services to help small businesses during the pandemic, like communicating effectively about all the rule changes that are happening, making sure that again, that environment is ready for that small business, and also access to capital. Number one issue small businesses have, which we connected over 5,000 businesses to $142 million in local, state, and federal. And if we go to specific federal programs, hopefully we'll talk about later on, we've done even more. And so, thank you so much again for inviting us. But that's just a synopsis, very brief one of what we do here at SBS and what we sort of been doing over the pandemic.
You mentioned you mentioned the pandemic, and it's been over a year when we began our quarantine. We all thought it would have lasted a few weeks at the most. And being that it's over a year and the impact has been so significant to business, especially our small businesses, what exactly has that impact been?
Yeah, look, in 2020, the city was really the epicenter of the COVID crisis, and which I think we have to remember that how really uh, difficult it was at that time, with so many coupling crises happening all in one, and the city being at the epicenter of that. That sort of triggered an immediate shutdown across the city in order to deal with the health crisis that triggered the economic crisis that we saw coming out of that. And really the impact from that continues to be devastating throughout the city. We saw, revenue declines of up to 80% in Manhattan. We saw over 50% in those declines in the outer boroughs, right? And, even around the holiday season where we thought that we would have, a boost in sales, we had some, but nothing really significant to quell that impact and brace those businesses the way that needed to be braced. And so we saw that, revenues were still down 65% in Manhattan, 40% in Queens, 36% in the Bronx, 35% in Brooklyn, 22% in Staten Island. And so, even compared to other cities, we were amongst the hardest hit. And all that to say that, leading up to where we are now, the gravity and the impact that this pandemic has had on the 240,000 small businesses who have employees in the city and that we track, we needed some significant federal infusion of cash. And at one point, as you can imagine, there was nothing happening. And the city essentially launched the first loan and grant program to help small businesses in the country. This is even before the federal government stepped in. We were the first ones to do it, really to help stay the crisis that was ensuing at the time based upon the pandemic. And so some of the other programs that actually came out of a lot of advocacy and work with the federal government and our partners was the Paycheck Protection Program, which we talk about later, a little later, the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, and also the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, which was cut, by the way, from 125 billion to only 28 billion. We just recently heard about 186,000 people and restaurants and businesses actually applied for it. So when you talk about the need is still there, the need is still very present and prevalent. While all these resources are there, certainly the pandemic has had a lasting impact. And as we crawl our way out, and mayors keep saying, and we keep pushing this recovery for all with all our programs and services, we also want to still be cognizant of the fact of where we really are in our economy at the moment.
Were there any unique strategies taken by small businesses over the last year which really helped keep their businesses running and doing well during this pandemic?
Yeah, we have three core principles here in which we build our work here at SBS, and we've sort of looked to drive that throughout the city's small business ecosystem. And one is around innovation. And one thing I must say that very unique to small businesses, because, as a small business, you have the CEO is also the COO, who also sometimes is the CFO. And you try to do all of the things that you need to do and still run the business, still make sure that you have the ability to attract customers and serve them well. And so this has been a challenge, and innovation has been the key to really keeping some of those businesses going. So, for instance, we had some professional apparel small businesses. Maybe they make clothes or they sell different items to the city, or elsewhere, little trinkets and so forth, pens and jackets and those kinds of things. We have MWBEs, minority women-owned businesses, like Salsa Professional, who went ahead and shifted their business and pivoted their fashion apparel business to like providing PPE equipment for city agencies, right? And that was something big because, obviously her market may have shrunk a bit because folks are not out shopping and doing things, or orders are not coming in like before, but she was able to pivot her business, using true innovation and just great thinking and broad being just having a broad scope of what they can and cannot do, and then went ahead and executed on it. We also had another example is like caterers. And we're giving them some of the basic examples, but we have catering companies who would generally just cater, like do catering services, turned around and began to deliver emergency meals to nursing homes, to seniors across the city. One of those contractors had gotten $19 million in contracts from the city to actually go ahead and do that work. And the list really goes on. We have the technology companies also, as you know, during this time, with everybody going online and making sure that there's opportunity for businesses to function effectively and still operate. Everyone needed to go online since no one's doing anything in person. You have a company called Taija Box that helps companies sustain themselves using plastic crates, moving systems. And if you think about all of what that meant and what they were able to do, when the pandemic hit, they shifted, right? And now that company is doing something different when it comes to space sanitizing, space sanitizing, making sure that they are in that deep cleaning business and using their technology a bit differently, and the like. And so we have many, many stories like that across the city, where businesses are, shifting, they're adapting, they're innovating, and they're making sure that they survive, doing everything they can.
Are there strategies you would recommend now that businesses take on to move the needle for them?
Yeah, Marlene, look, I think there are many, right? Each business is its own. And I think we want to start there. Not every business, will need a specific service. Not every business will need a certain type of, revenue generating a stream, because they're just fluctuating differently. Some businesses may need to change their sort of overhead governance structure, right? They may need to change, the way that they deliver services. So their logistics businesses need to adjust right now. But one of the biggest areas that we know that some businesses really need to adjust and just you have new strategies around is really dealing with, the digital divide right now. Like, how are those businesses are able to connect to customers and their community in an online sort of market now, right? Many businesses have not and do not have the ability to have a digital storefronts. And a lot of that is based upon the fact that they just have a digital divide within certain communities across the city that is prevalent, and we have to really work to address that. So the city is committed $157 million in capital investments to help to bridge the digital divide in those communities to order broadband access. And I think to have broadband access, I think that is going to be really, really, really critical. You're talking 600,000 New Yorkers who are living in these sort of, digital deserts, if I may. They're unable to engage in a real way. And so if everything is happening online, if you don't have the ability to access the internet and with the right speeds and so forth, you are losing business, you're losing opportunity. We also partner with Deloitte to create a new tool to aid small businesses in the recovery. It's called the Small Business Recovery Playbook. And it really helps us do a couple things. One, to help you respond to a crisis, like the tools of how you operate your business safely, I think is so important right now. Also, how to recover, like talking about creativity and learning and adapting to the ever really changing business landscape, all earlier on in the process, where again, all the rule changes and so forth, knowledge is key. And you want to make sure that that knowledge is transferred. So Deloitte is helping us with that. And also the third component of that recovery handbook is really around how we make businesses thrive and our economy thrive after this pandemic. And so it prepares business owners for the future, really, by planning next steps. And if you ask many small businesses now, like, what do you need help with, right? What do you need support with? Yes, we need to be able to sustain ourselves right now to buffer against the financial losses that we have. But so many small businesses are asking about, hey, can you help me map out my future going forward? Can you help me to understand, how I can thrive as a business? How can I come back? What should I be looking for? How can I help you help myself and my business, come back? And so, look, we've worked with these partners. We've launched multi-session workshop series, really to just help businesses know what it means to stabilize their business, protect their staff and customers, and build and grow even during this pandemic. And here at SBS, we also offer a lot of webinars that can help your business transition to e-commerce. And so I think strategically right now, that's what we are really pushing folks when it talks about how can we, help businesses strategically. We want to deal with this issue of the digital divide. And so as we offer classes to like taking your business online, building a website, creating content for your customers, and branding strategies that will help your business compete in a more digital market.
Over the last year, we've seen many assistance programs launch for helping small businesses, naming some of the few that you've just mentioned. Are there any programs that were underutilized and still can help small businesses today?
The short answer is probably no, with the exception maybe of some of the earlier on products like the New York Forward Loan Program, I think at one point, but they tweaked that program. Not so, I would look at and say not so much the federal programs, not as the fault of the small business, but the fact of how the program sort of was constructed earlier on. For instance, the Paycheck Protection Program, and the fact that you had small businesses who were considered small, but yet had 500 employees competing with businesses with 5 employees for those dollars, didn't work appropriately. And therefore you had some significant underutilization, because even the way that it was rolled out, the fact that some businesses and some banks and financial institutions were only allowing their own customers to actually engage in that program, that's a challenge. And then some of them even went further, only certain types of customers. Again, because on the SBA side, the Small Business Administration side, there's concerns around, the guarantees or how the process works, or even the actual technology that crashed a few times. And so those sort of cause somewhat of a underutilized components in sort of those recovery programs. But a lot of that was, the kinks that we needed to work through. And so now, particularly with this new administration, we saw things such as set aside dates and amount of time for small businesses. We saw dollars being put aside for CDFIs, community development financial institutions, who tend to lend to minority women, small micro businesses, really get in the mix and are sort of guaranteeing dollars to lend out to those communities. And that is helping tremendously across the board. Here at SBS, we launched about over 28 programs. I think we're going to, at the end of this, we'll probably be close to doubling that again, because we're rolling programs out all the time. We launched about 28 programs and initiatives to help small businesses, and each of those programs really have acted as a critical lifeline for small businesses to help keep them afloat. For instance, our 4 grant and 2 loan programs, were stopgap measures until real federal dollars were coming. Our business solution centers were operating all remotely, again, connecting small businesses to over $142 million, 5,000 of them. And then one of the things I just want to reiterate on this point is, we built out a call center, essentially a virtual call center, our hotline, which, we've literally helped over 60,000 businesses calling in over the last year to assist them in this process. And so from our virtual consultations, if you are a restaurant and you're opening and you just needed us to, help you sort of make sure you're doing things the right way, we've had over close to 380 of those, just virtually helping walk that restaurant owner, that small business owner through that process of opening in a way that wouldn't, violate any of the rules and regulations. So, we certainly had several programs, many other types of programs for workers as well, and small businesses, even businesses who are looking to sell, owners who are looking to sell their business, and but you want to do it to their employees. We even had a program called Owners to Owners there, programs about helping folks get online, as I mentioned, getting financial assistance and support, technical assistance, webinars, pivoting seminars, etc. All were well attended. We've helped to provide over 135,000 services to small businesses. But look, certainly there's still a big sort of need there. A whole lot of folks that still need help, and that's why we're here, still giving it to them.
So this leads so directly into the next question, which is, you've mentioned so many resources. If you had to tell everyone, run, here's the top 3 you should go and look into, whether they're aspiring entrepreneurs or the current ones trying to stay and survive, which ones would those be? Which would be your top 3 to suggest?
Wow, yeah.
I'm sorry.
It is like it's like choosing from one of your kids there. I mean, it's kind of hard. We do over 100 programs here, and that's on in addition, we added another 28 initiatives during the pandemic. So it is difficult. But look, this vast portfolio we have, some things we're asking entrepreneurs right now, particularly aspiring entrepreneurs, really to connect with our suite of fast track programs, a series of multiple sessions with entrepreneurs in an entrepreneur boot camp. And it's really good for aspiring and even established entrepreneurs throughout the city. And the fast track program has helped many entrepreneurs launch their business, even in the midst of this pandemic. And so I think that is so important. We had one owner, their business is called Etier Manufacturing Enterprise. They took our course, and they were able to provide PPE equipment to city agencies, which I think is important. They took the new Venture 50 Plus course. So this is for women entrepreneurs who are 50 years or older. We also have our BNYC Startup Intensive program, Black entrepreneurs, by the way, who were hit disproportionately worse than most other groups. Black entrepreneurs twice as likely to close during the pandemic, 4 times as likely to be denied access to capital from banks and financial institutions. So they were already facing such a headway against them as entrepreneurs because of course, systemic issues across the city, the country, also, in the financial institutions. We wanted to provide that resource to help those businesses come back. And of course, our Women Entrepreneurs Program, our We NYC program, which over the years have helped about 17,000 women entrepreneurs really survive, thrive, and have the ability to come out of this pandemic, in a better way, and sort of with a future in mind, with hope, if I may. And then I would say, just doubling down again on some of our MWBE programs, our BNYC programs. We have assistance and working with Goldman Sachs, MasterCard, and Ernst & Young. At the Brooklyn Navy Yard, we're building out an accelerator there. So when you think about these programs, the mentorship programs, the fast track programs for specific groups of entrepreneurs who have very much difficulty in the marketplace, like our Women Entrepreneur Program, our BNYC program, our MWBE program that helps women, Black, Latinx, and Asian businesses. All these programs, we think at the moment, that we have available, those are ones we want to really focus on.
So of the hundreds you already have, and there's a brand new 28, any new ones on the horizon that we should be launching rather soon that our entrepreneurs should look out for?
Yeah, I think this is exciting. Marlene, we at SBS, we're fighting both on the federal level, local level, state level to ensure that small businesses and our agency to get resources to go ahead and provide these services that are so necessary for our economy, our communities. When you think about small businesses, you have 240,000 small businesses, employing, close to 3.6 million people in the city. And when you think about what that actually means, that sort of means that, if there's no small business comeback, the city does not come back, particularly now. And so the mayor, we're very excited and grateful to the mayor for prioritizing small businesses, and where we announced recently an additional $155 million to our budget in order to provide new programs. And some of those new programs will be a new small business loan fund, which will be a $100 million fund to help small businesses keep their doors open. We're also instituting a $100 million grant program to really provide immediate relief to small businesses who have experienced recent revenue loss. Also, the Small Business Reopening One-Stop Shop initiative, meaning we have small businesses who are saying, look, we have the resources, we're going to open up. We really need the city to change some of its processes or to assist us in taking us through the process of opening up. And I think that also is critical, and we're sort of building towards that. Our Commercial Lease Assistance Program, that's our CLA program. I'm not sure if you're aware of this program, but this is one of my favorite programs of all of SBS here. We provide a resource, free legal advice to small businesses to help them with renegotiating their lease, to understanding their terms, to speaking with their landlord, to having mediation, and providing those services. We added an extra $10 million to that program, and $5 million this year, 5 the next, and really tripling that program to be sure that it's effective. And then something that we also have in our budget, which I think is so important, like as a city, we can't do this alone. We need our community partners, our CBO partners, and our business organizations to help and assist. So we have a grant program called the Avenue NYC program, and we added about $1.2 million to expand outreach. into more neighborhoods, particularly in low to moderate income neighborhoods, and the ones that the mayor has identified as hardest hit by COVID-19. And so, yeah, we certainly have tons of programs coming and a lot more funding coming to small businesses with the help of the federal stimulus package that came to the city.
Um, I think that's music to a lot of our ears, especially for our communities. Um, what's to come for New York City life and business? What do you see the next 5 years looking like after we kind of get out of this?
Yeah, that's sort of like the big question, right? It's like, first of all, folks are asking, when are we going to get out of this?
Right.
I was like, can we get out of this, snap our fingers and be out of this? Look, I think, one of the things that we have to keep in mind, and I think what we're, continually see, we've got to deal with the health crises, right? There is nothing worse, and I've said it throughout the pandemic, nothing worse is opening up your business and having to shut it back down because this thing, just came again, right? We're trying to deal with it once and for all. So that means we want folks to make sure that you get vaccinated. That's very important. Make sure that you are wearing your face coverings, that you're doing your social distancing, following all the rules and guidelines. But vaccinations are key. That's what's going to help us to get through this, is our vaccinations. And so we want to make sure that we push that even in the business community. Because if we want to come back, we want some surety, we want the city to open up. It's really dependent on the ability for us to vaccinate our fellow New Yorkers and get everybody up to speed. So once we deal with sort of the health crisis, look, we are focused on going back to this digital divide issue is one, again, where we see huge gaps, huge challenges. Wanting to make sure you cannot come back in business without having a full-on digital platform. You can't really engage. If you have a digital plan, those things are critical for the next 5 years. We're also looking to make sure that we are bridging the equity gap. When you think about the areas and the communities in which, and small businesses in which the COVID-19 has hit, you've had multi-layered crises happening at the same time. You had the coronavirus crisis happening. That's a health crisis. You had an economic crisis. You also had, from those same communities, a lot of the essential workers also. And in the same communities, you had businesses who were struggling to actually get support. For instance, in LMI communities, low to moderate income communities, we see that there's about 103,000 businesses in the city. When you think about the fact that only a little over 66,000 receive anything from the federal government as pertains to PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program. When you think about that, you got an additional 44,000 businesses that didn't get any kind of support and help. We've got to level the playing field. We've got to make it a more equitable, a more transparent sort of market as we move forward, so that everybody can actually recover and come back. And then as we think about bridging and catalyzing job opportunities in the next 5 years in emerging markets, the ones that we think there's going to be real opportunity right now, such as tech, healthcare, industrial, light manufacturing, because that's when we think about PPE, that is light manufacturing, or in some cases, advanced manufacturing, new 3D printing. It's all connected to technology. And we're seeing that we're actually doing some investments to the tune of about $6 million in job training around those sectors, and making sure if it's green tech or manufacturing, even in some instances, food services, where we're going to see some boost. And so we're really looking to advance those particular opportunities for growth, areas of growth that we see, particularly in those sectors across the board.
All right, our future is bright. So hopefully
Yes.
we will get there sooner rather than later. I'm going to take a few of the questions from our participants today.
Sure.
And it's not too many. Does the SBS offer free office space like a WeWork for small teams? Is that an available resource?
We do not have office space. We do work with some organizations like Shashima. I'm not sure if anyone knows about them, but they look for vacant space around the city. We do have a partnership with them, and where small businesses can use those storefronts to, to assist them there. We also work with our partners at EDC, the New York City Economic Development Corporation, to help them really find, how should I put it, you know, commercial tenants, because they're a landlord, but they're the city. Like our money, like what we charge is nothing compare to everybody. And so, those are the opportunities we have. But what we do in our business solution centers, one thing that we do, if you do come in or call our hotline and you say, hey, we need, to find affordable space, we can definitely help you do that.
I'll also add that many of the CUNY colleges that have entrepreneurship centers have co-working spaces too. And
Absolutely.
it's usually a free service as well. So if you're interested, anyone out there, contact your local CUNY school and see what they can offer for you as well. Another question, which category was the most popular among New Yorkers entrepreneur last year?
Wow,
Mm.
that's a very interesting one. I would dare to say, and I very much don't want to dare, because you're looking at what are we talking about as it pertains to the entrepreneur space, right? What sort of sectors? Again, a lot of tech, considerable amount of tech out there, where folks are doing, trying to get in and also answer and solve a lot of issues that we're having, because of course, again, what the pandemic brought on. I think also you saw a lot of innovation around digital platforms, where folks are beginning to find ways to do e-commerce a bit more effectively. And so we saw a lot of that. And so, businesses, just people forming businesses to sell things online, essentially, because everybody's online. You can't go outside. Hey, this is a great opportunity. Let me start my e-commerce business. And then, lastly, I will say we saw, which I thought this was interesting, because there is, there's a little bit of it didn't sort of add up a little bit to what was going on around us in the context of the broader picture. But I think, we sort of see folks moving into the food business, because it doesn't make sense, right? We're like, wait a minute, we should literally be going backwards in that. But no, people were actually engaged in like opening food businesses, really to help meet the supply of the city, which we had a massive program for them.
That's interesting. My daughter's in kindergarten and her 5-year-old friend has his own cookie business now online.
Are you serious? Oh
I
my goodness, that is awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, there's no limitations for
See, that's what
entrepreneurship.
I'm saying. It's
5-year-old.
it's unbelievable. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's the opportunity that it brings, and that's why we have to figure out how we can do this equitably. Because if folks don't have that access to broadband services, to get their, to have the kind of reliable service, that all that goes away. And so that's why the city is, investing that over $150 million just to correct that issue.
A question is, what's the best opportunity to get a grant from the SBS programs?
Yeah, I think it's important, one, to make sure that you're connected. We're online, nyc.gov/SBS. Very important. So you see all the things that are coming out and what we have. Secondly, I think, you've got to get in contact with our business solution centers. Remember, all of this is free. And so if you connect with our center, call our hotline, go online, just ask for a appointment, you know, it's really simple, and somebody literally picks up the phone when you call our hotline, and we work with you and give you guidance on where to go and what to do. And so we made it very, very easy for small businesses looking for grants. And when our grant program is actually released in a couple of months after the budget process is complete, we will definitely be broadcasting it everywhere, and folks will know, you know, where to go.
This is a very specific question. Someone is interested in starting a food truck business. They have a good idea. Can you provide any insights within that industry for them?
Yeah, only that I spoke to my good friend who's an accountant, and and he went into the food truck business and restaurant. It's so weird. And anyway, so he's done that, and he was telling me all about this experience in Atlanta that he had to go through to get into the food truck business. So that's pretty interesting that I get a question on that. That was literally last night. I would just say that, look, we have a food and beverage industry partnership group here at SBS. And so, you know, if someone really has a question about how they can go about doing that, I would love for our team to connect with them. Please put your, or I don't know how you put in the chat or connect with you. We certainly can get you some intel and connect you with those people who are literally doing that work.
Awesome. We don't have any, actually, there's another question now about the beauty business. Any
Similar?
advice?
Yeah, the beauty business. And last week, and I was on a call with some folks who were getting into the beauty business. A lot of entrepreneurs there, a lot of opportunity, billion-dollar business. And you know what I think I learned from them, because I think it's important to learn as well. We were talking about our resources, but what we learned is, you know, a lot of, you know, if you are, because we had men on too. So if you are, you know, a funder of those business, if you actually, you know, someone to connect with those businesses or want to connect with businesses who promote or help you manufacture, distribute, you know, we've got several programs here that can help facilitate all of those questions. A lot of them are dealt within our WeNYC program, a Women Entrepreneurship program. I know they have a whole beauty cohort of folks who sort of can help navigate those questions. But yeah, I mean, you know, if you have a product, I mean, it's pretty basic too, right? If you have a product or you have ideas, you can talk to our business solution centers. You can talk to our WeNYC, our BNYC programs, all these folks who have the resources, and then they can help you, because everybody's at a different stage, right? So I don't want to, there's no one size fit all. So I don't want to say, well, you have to do these 3 things. You have to call. No, you may already be past the fact that you're trying to find a distributor. You may be already past the fact that, you know, you need actual workers, because we can help you with that as well. Space, we have ability to find space. I mean, we'll tailor it to you. So we always say, let's just give us a call, check us out, talk to our business solution center, make an appointment, connect with us, and we will help you through that process.
I think that's pretty much going to be your same answer for the next question, which is the set of services that are available for those that are business planning. They're in the very start and they want to set milestones for a launch. So contacting the SBS and working with someone so it's tailored for your needs and for the specific needs of your business.
Absolutely. And we have to have tailor-made services. If we don't do that, then, you know, look, I was an entrepreneur, but I was a consultant. You know, my mom was an entrepreneur, but she sold Avon, she sold home interior decorating, she was Amway and being a social worker by day. So I don't know how she did all that, but she was able to create a network. But she was a salesperson, best salesperson I know. I mean, amazing salesperson, and get folks to buy all her things. I thought that's it, but she had needs that were specific to her. Me as a consultant, I had totally different types of needs. And so I think we do make tailor-made services. We'll get you the help that you specifically need. Again, if you doubt, you know, some folks say, well, I don't trust that will happen. Look, we've already helped on our hotline alone over 60,000 businesses.
So if they go to nyc.gov/SBS, they would find the contact information.
Correct. And or you can call 888 SBS 4 NYC, the number 4 NYC. And yeah, they can call that number and we'll definitely be helpful.
Any last advice for our entrepreneurs?
Yes, I would just say that, if possible, make sure that you take advantage of the resources that are available to you. I think what we find is that once those who take advantage of our resources, for instance, in our MWBE program, 65% of the winners, more than 65% now of the winners, actually utilize a service that we provided, right? A capacity building service, capital access service, coaching service, anything along those lines. And then the last thing we'll say is, build your business and your idea around these 3 real core principles that we're driving through. One is innovation. We want entrepreneurs today really to look on how to reimagine solutions, right, for these present day needs and challenges that we have. So if you're doing a business, you got to make sure that it's sort of centered around innovation. The second is around adaptability. We want to make sure that when you build your business, that it is adaptable. It has the ability to pivot. It has the ability to take on different things that you never originally intended to take on, like some of those businesses I talked about earlier. And we want to make sure that it is able to do that in a way that is rapid, as quickly as possible, right? Because we understood survival was really dependent around innovation, but also the ability to adapt. And the last thing, which I think is so important, is really around this concept and notion of collaboration. We found out in this pandemic that, be it government, the private sector, the small business community, the healthcare industry, the manufacturing industry, whatever industry or sectors you may be a part of, the tech sector, we all needed each other, right? Because we could not have gotten to this place without really working together. But from an entrepreneurial standpoint, you've got to understand what sectors you're trying to answer a question or solve a problem that they may have. And the better you are at collaborating with those various sectors, the better your product or your solution will be for those particular entrepreneurs. So we just want to encourage you all, along those lines. Look, we know our city is coming back. We have a robust program. The mayor's announced July 1st. He wants the city to come back at full strength. We've got restrictions on restaurants going down. We have more increased foot traffic. We see that increase over year over year, with also in our retail sales. We see more job postings than ever right now. That means our city is coming back. And while we're not there yet, we certainly need entrepreneurs like yourself to bring that innovation, that adaptability, that collaboration to bring our city back. Entrepreneurs who really love their city and want to see it grow. And so there's a unique opportunity here for you all to lead really in the city's innovation agenda and our comeback. So thanks again really for having me on, and enjoyed this conversation, Marlene.
Thank you so much for your time. I think this was extremely insightful and helpful for our community. I want to thank everybody else for joining too. I know you could spend your lunch hour elsewhere, but you're here with us. This is our last session for the semester. Please feel free to come back sometime in the fall and join us for some more sessions. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a nice day.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Marlene.
Bye-bye.